Welcome back. It has been a very successful night, hasn't it, for the Reds in the south of France, as Dominic Szoboszlai's free kick and own goal from Marseille keeper Geronimo Rulli heavily influenced that one, of course, by Jeremy Frimpong, and Cody Gakpo late on at Liverpool a 3-0 victory, which puts them in a really promising position. 15 points now with one Champions League match still to go. In the studio we have Neil Mellor, Jason McAteer and Kev Hatchard is with us too. On the fan panel as well, on the video link, we've got Michael Reid from Opta, Sam Milner's here from This Is Anfield, and Matthew Baird as well from the official Liverpool Supporters Club in Atalanta. We'll come to you guys very shortly, but firstly, the first words to you guys in the studio. Mels, you've come in with a beaming smile on your face like all of us here, but that felt much more like a Liverpool performance tonight, didn't it? Fully deserved win.
Oh, brilliant win, yeah. I was nervous before the game because of everybody talking Marseille up and saying how difficult it was going to be. Obviously, De Zerbi, we know the style of football he plays. And I was just quietly thinking, if they get the first goal, it could be a really uncomfortable night for us. We never allowed them to. It was a really dominant performance. The scoreline says 3-0. It could have been a lot more emphatic because of how well Liverpool played. I mean, we've hit the post, we've had a goal disallowed. I think their goalkeepers made a couple of brilliant saves. So it was a really pleasing, dominant performance from everybody. It was a real team performance. It wasn't just a case of he was the main man tonight. And I think the first goal is always important in these games. And it was a clever first goal right in the stroke of half-time. But second half, despite them having a spell early on, Marseille, they never got the goal. And as soon as we got the second goal, it felt a lot more comfortable. We had a lot of chances out there tonight. Alisson made a couple of saves at key moments. But that's a great win. And you just showed the league table there. We're in a top position, a really commanding position going into that final group game, which is where we want to be in the top 8.
Just really nice, as Mel says, to get that third goal, Jace, because it kind of reflects the dominance, if you like. It feels like a statement win tonight. Yeah,
something really that wasn't shown at the weekend for as much of a dominant performance that was as well against Burnley. Listen, credit where credit's due, but it was a good game for Liverpool tonight. It was a good test. Listen, let's take nothing away from Marseille. They're going well in Liga, scored lots of goals, only been beaten once at home this season. So, you know, it was never going to be an easy tie, but Liverpool played really, really well because of the way Marseille played. Liverpool showed their real quality tonight because Marseille were open at times. They didn't play a high line. It wasn't a low block. They didn't ask Liverpool too many questions, but that's because Liverpool were dominant in most of the areas that they needed to be. So that was defending when they needed to be, defending set pieces when they needed to be, but also playing through the lines, the quickness that they played through. The tempo was really good today. Listen, it could have been 5 or 6 had they taken the chances that they created. They created lots of really good opportunities. Yeah, Alisson was called into action a couple of times, but did what he needed to do. But overall, I thought it was a fantastic away performance by Liverpool tonight.
It feels like the first time in quite a while that they've hit that balance right of having that fluid attacking performance while also being really solid defensively when needed as well, Kev.
Yeah, I think the clean sheet's really important because Marseille are full of attacking talent. There's no doubt about that. They take risks. They want to get forward. They want to swarm you. And actually, the way that Liverpool just drew the sting out of them was really impressive. And they were able to find loads of space between the lines. Thought Florian Wirtz had a brilliant night. His kind of game, where he can find those pockets of space, he can play the little combinations, get into really good positions. But you need your goalkeeper sometimes. And I thought the save from Guiri was excellent in the first half. The save from Greenwood, really impressive because it bounces in front of him. It's actually a more difficult save than he made it look. So every time he was called into action, he came up big.
Yeah, it's one of those games, and this is a good thing, where you would struggle to pick a man of the match because there were so many outstanding performances, Neil.
We said that, yeah. I was thinking, well, who do you pick? Because, like you say, Alisson, when called upon, he makes some saves look easier than they actually are. And I think that was a great example, which Kev says, because he gets across, but it bounces awkwardly just in front of him. And that makes it 1-1, and all of a sudden the crowd get involved, the momentum turns completely in the game. And it just sort of eased us a little bit and saying, no, we can still go again and get more opportunities. To pick a man of the match was difficult. I've made notes. I'm thinking his name. And defensively, it's great to get a clean sheet. I thought the fullbacks did well, you know, in terms of stopping a lot of ammunition into the penalty area. The 2 centre halves, again, Konate missing. Were you thinking, how much will Gomez to be able to deal with at this level straight away from missing a lot of game time? Did great. between the pair of them. Midfield had a good balance about them. Wirtz, love watching Wirtz play. And then the only thing missing was that Salah goal at the end. You know, that big chance at the end.
Mo Salah will probably be the only person who's maybe a touch frustrated, because obviously he comes back and he had a couple of opportunities, Jace, which by his standards he will feel that.
Generally, it looked like he'd been missing for 4 or 5 games, injured, and then come back and wasn't quite match sharp. But he'd been playing in the AFCON, hasn't he? So that's not the case. He'll be disappointed with the opportunities. You know, he was there to miss them. There was one at the end there where maybe you've seen him do it so many times, where he opens his body up and he just hits it with his left foot, but for some reason he snatches at it, doesn't he? I just think he might have wanted it a little bit too much, so he snatches at it. And the other opportunities, the header as well, and then there was one where he was offside as well, when he gets caught offside. But all in all, listen, his performance, he added something as well, and I agree with the lads. I'm sitting here now thinking, who would I actually give it to? I would probably go, I thought his work rate tonight was fantastic. Ekitike. You know, we spoke, we were waxing lyrical, weren't we, before the game started, but he does so much work off the ball. You know, he's running into the channels. Even now he's coming to grips with the press. You know, even that, his link-up play with Wirtz is becoming evident that the two of them are really getting an understanding.
What about his discipline as well? Because it was a little bit different, because when they had the ball, Marseille, it was noticeable, he was left, rather than being down the middle to press. And obviously Wirtz and Szoboszlai were a little bit higher in the central position, Salah wide right. But having the discipline defensively, because he doesn't want to be out there defensively. He wants to be down the middle, working the centre half.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
so it's great to see.
Yeah, it was a good, real team effort for him tonight. It wasn't about him; it was about what he was going to do for the team.
That was really noticeable, I thought, because one of the things that Marseille always want to do to you is they want to draw you onto them, because it's a De Zerbi team. They want to draw you onto them, play through that line of the press, and then they're away, and then they've got lots of options. I feel like that rarely happened, and that's down to the discipline without the ball. I thought it was excellent.
I was going to ask you, because we spoke off air and I said, how do you think this is going to go tonight? And you said it depends which Marseille side turns up. Did you feel slightly disappointed with Marseille tonight, or were Liverpool so effective at what they did that they didn't get the opportunity to do what they wanted?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I think Liverpool didn't let them be the best version of themselves. I think if the early goal does go in, maybe, if they can get that early goal, then maybe it's different. You get the crowd involved. The crowd were quiet compared to what they can be.
But that's what Liverpool quietened them, didn't they, ultimately?
And I don't think this is just in isolation. I think if you actually... We spoke before the tournament even started about the draw Liverpool have been given. Galatasaray away, Eintracht Frankfurt away, Marseille away, Inter away. And you thought, wow, that's as tough as it gets away from home. They've won 3 of them. And the game at Inter, I thought they were outstanding. I thought they managed the game really well, won a tight one. This was a dominant display from start to finish, I thought.
Kev, I looked at Marseille's performance and it was almost like, did they show Liverpool too much respect and didn't really go at us from the word go? Because I felt as though we settled into the game reasonably well. And the importance of that first goal, and you mentioned about the crowd, I just felt as though Marseille, maybe the lack of experience in big European games, we'd gone to Inter, got a really good away win there, and I just felt as though they never really looked like they believed they could beat us tonight.
Yeah, I think there was certainly an element of those opening exchanges. Liverpool were very controlled and they sat off a bit and they didn't play the game that Marseille wanted them to play, which is to create those opportunities in transition. Just never happened. Liverpool were happy to stay in their shape, not risk anything really, not press too high. And Marseille didn't really have much to work with. And then it's difficult because you already know you're up against the top team. But if you haven't got those kind of crumbs of comfort, those early shots, that kind of early spark to get the crowd going, it's difficult to get the momentum, and Liverpool took that away from them.
I thought it was a really good start from Liverpool. Like it was as if Liverpool went into their backyard and said, we're going to dominate the game, which is what you've just said about Marseille. That they would have caught a little bit. Listen, I said before the game, it's a difficult one for De Zerbi because he probably felt he had enough at home with this Marseille team. He was free scoring, and if that's the one that turns up, then they would beat Liverpool because Liverpool aren't in such a great place. You know, but what does he do? Does he play that low block? Does he play that 5 at the back that we said that they could do sometimes, soak up the pressure and then try and play on the break? Or does he let his team go and impose themselves like they've done so many times this season, certainly at home, and been really expansive and scored lots of goals? And it was kind of he got it wrong, really. Do you know what I mean? I thought it might have been better had he soaked up the pressure a little bit earlier. from Liverpool, and then worked their way into the game. But he kind of went at them. Liverpool, like you just said, they had nothing to feed on, nothing happened, and then Liverpool sort of took over and dominated the game.
And with the way the league is, did they really believe they could get top 8? You know, in terms of, you're looking at the league and thinking, well, they can't get top 8. So if they did beat us, okay, it's a brilliant night for them. Whereas us, we're thinking we can get top 8.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more on it for us. It would have been a great night for them. But they're happy in the playoffs, aren't they?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like, staying in the competition beyond the league phase is huge for them, because they don't have a massive track record recently in the competition. They are former winners of it, of course, but that was a long time ago. So for them to make progress is good. It's also worth bearing in mind this is a work in progress, and it felt like that. It felt like Liverpool was a team that had been together a fair old while,